Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Blockchain and Beyond. As always, I'm your host, Farzan. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have Benedetto, who is the CEO of Fox Finance, joining me today. Benedetto, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Farzan, and thank you for having me here. I am Benedetto Biondi, the CEO of Fox Finance, which is a capital markets protocol for borrowing and lending on Algorand. I arrived here after a long journey working as project manager, and then here I am.
Cool. Yeah, so I think before we dive into Fox Finance a bit more, it'll be good for the people to know kind of a bit more about yourself, where perhaps where you were born, where you were raised, what you did before crypto, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
So I am Italian. I was a mechanical engineering in my beginning of after academic study. I worked for 1 year as mechanical designer. I didn't like it. Then I wanted to move towards the management side, so I did a master in UK of management and innovation, engineering management and innovation. And then, as I said, I worked as project manager for blockchain-related projects for a software house called Blockchain Italia, which is a Milanese software house. Um, after like a few years of working there, since we were between the 12 first global partner of Algorand, when we saw DeFi growing, we started to build Fox Finance. Myself, right now, I live in Malta, but I've spent most of my life in Milan. So Italy is my home.
Nice. Yeah, no, it seems like you've got a very varied background. You've been almost all over the world. You've been in the UK, raised in Italy, now living in Malta. It's quite interesting because I think that's one of the things I love about blockchain and crypto is you have people from literally all over the world, and everyone is working together towards the same sort of goal.
I agree. And when you are in a position as mine, you are always traveling. So you don't really have an home. And just flew back from Texas, from Consensus, spent a while in Miami this year. So it's always traveling.
Yeah, no, that sounds really awesome. Um, so so we know that Fox Finance is a capital markets protocol, but specifically, why did you guys choose Algorand? Because obviously there's hundreds of different blockchains out there. What about Algorand really sold you to it?
Yeah. So as I said, it was also a technical choice because the software house, it was between the 12 first global partner of Algorand. And when we saw DeFi growing, we were like, okay, we have the competitive advantage to build something good. And we just then did a little of due diligence, researching what was the best protocol to fit on Algorand. There were already a few DEXs being built. One of those was Tinyman, another AMM, then quit the project. So we were like, okay, what's next? It's lending protocol, could be a launchpad as well. But lending protocol on Algorand to us makes just so much sense because being Algorand, the blockchain trusted by institutions, and when traditional finance will have to merge with DeFi, and it's much better for a lending protocol like the position for this stage is very it's very powerful, and you could get a lot of TVL
Yeah.
potentially. It
Hmm.
didn't happen yet, but we hope it will.
Fingers
And in
crossed.
general, the technical side of Algorand, I believe that Algorand consensus is the best, most efficient, egalitarian, and the technology is growing, they're scaling. So, the technology is great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think everyone who I've talked to about Algorand, they come and they stay because of the technology, the team, and everyone's just super
That's
patient.
true. And I believe we We could see this in the last week of this terrible week for crypto markets. Algorand was taking the hit in a very good way, like decreasing less than Bitcoin, than Ethereum, and other main chains. So I believe that what you said is right. The people who comes in Algorand are staying. It doesn't matter the bearish times. It's because we believe it and we know that in long term it's gonna be great.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not sure if many people know what a lending protocol is or a lending platform is. Do you want to give kind of a brief overview of what it enables?
Yes. So lending protocol, as the word says, is a platform for depositing money. Someone else is borrowing them, so you are lending. And at the same time, you can borrow assets. How it works? It's over-collateralized loans. So basically, if we could do an example, you want to borrow USDC, what is the most typical use case of Fox financing, for example, deposit algo, lock them as a collateral, and borrow stablecoin. Could do an example: $100 worth in algo, you could borrow $80 USDC, and then you repay your interest. It's being accrued. They are flexible, they're variable, and then if your collateral is decreasing its value over time, you might get liquidated. So you have to be careful with what you do. We tried to build a very intuitive system. Actually, it was thanks to the community feedback, because when we launched it, it was in another way. Then they said this is not that much intuitive. So we listened, and now we built this liquidation margin, so where you can see, like, if the value between collateral and borrowed assets varies of 20%, 30%, whatever it is, you get liquidated. So it's easy for you to keep track of it.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing, especially with these lending protocols, is understanding, your level of margin, your liquidation levels, because I think, making that clear is something that's very important, to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into, and that people can properly, understand the risks for themselves.
True, and one of the things we are adding, actually, it was built from the hack algo together with the other DeFi protocols of Algorand. We were launching this hackathon, and one of our bounty was to build a notification system. So soon you will be able to set your Telegram notification on when you are getting liquidated like this. You can act in advance. So as far as I know, we are the first protocol doing something like that.
Yeah, no, that seems really cool. I'm pretty sure most people will be making use of that. Um, so obviously there's a lot of different protocols popping up on Algorand, especially in DeFi, whether those are DEXs or AMMs, or other lending protocols. What do you think Folks Finance is doing to differentiate themselves from these other protocols?
Okay. In general, we don't want to compete with our ecosystem. Like, we believe that Algorand is growing, and so far we are a few bunch of projects on mainnet. So we collaborate each other, with someone more, with someone less, but we collaborate a lot. And we believe that this is a great strength, because usually you don't see this type of collaboration, but we do. And we are kind of different all to each other. But in general, when we built Folks Finance, we were thinking always to differentiate in an higher level. So we always took as example, especially in the beginning of the project, we were looking at Aave, which is like the mainstay of lending protocols. And when we studied it, we understood that Aave were doing some inefficiencies. So we've built some of our feature in an innovative way, like taking example from Aave, but doing it probably better. Like the way we calculate the loan to value, the under collateralization threshold, we do a kind of arithmetic around the covariance between the collateral and the borrowed assets. The way we build the escrow for the loan is unique because we have for each crypto collateral borrowed asset pair a smart contract, which allow us to be very flexible. And as well, we have a new feature as the rewards aggregator, the algo liquid governance, which is also now something very important for Fox Finance. The way we do incentives, because it's sustainable. We look at that hub and always thought this is something that couldn't work, because if you are borrowing at 5% and earning 10%, that something is wrong. It's not a sustainable finance. So we built this system of incentives that is around the cashback on the loan. So we always have, I think like our main priority is to have the most flexible loan on DeFi, and we are building the V2 full of innovation as well there. Being secure, we did like 3 audits, actually 4. Every time we add a small new feature, we audit it. We have the bug bounty ongoing. We did an economic review. We spent quite a lot of money on these consulting firms, but it's never enough. It's money of the community that are in it, so we don't want to risk them. We're trying to build as secure as possible. I think this differentiates us for many projects, and as well the way we are transparent. If you look at the website, we have the community treasury. We show how money the protocol is making, because it's not our money, it's of the community. The protocol wants to be decentralized, and we will do it. I don't think that this is something common, not just in Algorand, but everywhere. We always want to be clear that the protocol is of the community, not ours. We are just the mean through it. So all the time the community raise voice, we listen.
Yeah, no, that's sounds really good. I especially want to touch on the point about having a lot of security audits done for every time you launch a new feature, because so many times you've seen a lot of these protocols, either they don't have the audits done, or they don't go over them thoroughly, and it ends up leading to a loss of people's monies.
First and then do the audit, which is kind of crazy, honestly.
Yep.
You will, like, the way we did this, it was like start the audit. After the audit is saying it's almost everything safe, go on testnet, test that everything is good, and then launch a mainnet where you are, I don't say 100%, because 100%, there is only one thing in life, and I don't like it. But yeah, like we want to be as secure as possible.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that coming from like a cybersecurity background. We see a lot of what companies are doing, and our job basically means to to help these companies better their security, more focused on Web 2 rather than Web 3. But I still understand and appreciate the sentiment behind it. And the other thing you mentioned is you're kind of innovating on features, and one feature I really like on Fox Finance is you can actually deposit your LP tokens from certain providers. I think Tinyman is one of them, which is available right now, and that's something I really like, because not only do you get your rewards from the farm, for example from Tinyman, but you can also use that LP token as collateral for any loans, and that's not something I've seen other protocols do yet.
I say to you, like, we collaborate as much as we can. Actually, right now, you cannot earn the farming rewards of Tinyman, but you do earn the fees rewards. You do it with Pact. So right now we have LPs from Pact and Tinyman. With Tinyman, we are working to solve this, and we will pretty soon. So this is, it's for us, it looks normal, like ordinary, but it isn't. We have a lot of good feedbacks from the community saying, you guys, you are doing a great job. And, in terms of capital efficiency, this is just so important, that you provide the liquidity in a DEX, and this as a value, your LPs, and you could borrow against it. So we are always trying to make this working, and we are also trying to launch as more pool as possible. because we want to create this composability with Algorand project, with bridges. So, as far as there is liquidity, we will launch a new pool and see if it's sustainable. And even there, we are always trying to be secure. For example, on the new pools, we set limit on the borrow cap. So basically, until we are secure that this pool is, even if it's a new token, it's like reliable. And we put this hard cap on the loan that couldn't hurt the protocol if something goes wrong.
Yeah, no, I think this innovation is something that we really need, and I guess collaborating with other projects, rather than competing with them, is definitely a way to kind of develop the ecosystem, because if you're working with TinyMan or PactFi or any of the other projects, people will see that, right? And then not only does it support those projects, but it also supports your project, as Folks Finance becomes almost a gateway to these other projects, but you get the added functionality on top. And I think seeing that development is something that I think it's also kind of representative of the Algorand community, where everyone wants to help each other. And it's nice to see that that's happening on a project level, and not just an individual level, because people are willing to help each other. But it's nice to see that all the projects are also doing the same.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I think it is, and it will be one of the major strengths of Algorand as well, like the way how we collaborate. Because there is one thing that differentiates mainly us. Algorand is a different Web3 than the others. Even if you go to an Algorand event, you will see founders that they are. You feel them to be more reliable. I don't want to say that in the other project the founders are not good. They are, of course. But sometimes this hype and rush of money, incentives, capital can be dangerous. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes if I see 20 years old founders with millions, maybe they are not able to manage it in the right way. It's, everyone could do mistakes, but in Algorand, you kind of see serious people, always.
Yeah, and I think that probably comes from the fact that Algorand isn't as hyped as much as other protocols. You see on Ethereum or other layer ones, you see a lot of hype, a lot of people trying to pile in on different projects. You don't get that as much in Algorand, so I think Algorand naturally draws a different kind of person.
Yeah, it's true. And look, the Algorand, in general, everyone that represents Algorand, from Algorand Inc. to the foundation, they are all, let's say, institutionally people. So you see, even in their government, like an higher reputation. So you want to be part of this, which is as it's good pro.
Yeah, no, definitely. Moving on to the next point I have, which is kind of, I guess, a hot topic, but is to do with liquid governance. So I think liquid governance has been a great idea, since there's a number of protocols which are supporting it. I think it will actually give a lot of benefit, not only to the community in terms of liquidity, but also in terms of TVL. And I think giving the people the flexibility to actually stake their tokens for rewards while also having access to them in a liquid format, while letting everyone participate in governance, because locking up your tokens for a period of 3 or 6 months is can be daunting for people, and I think liquid governance just kind of gives people a new avenue to do so. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this is why we built the Algo Liquid governance in the way it is, and our mission, it was always to give this freedom for the user, like flexibility. I said before, for us it's very important, and we saw this capital inefficiency in the Algorand Foundation governance, but I believe it has to be this way. And then it's up to protocol to innovate, to build such a system that can leverage it. That's the way it is right now with the G3, is that it's going to be upgraded, and kind of is totally different, not just upgraded. So we are doing 3 new features in the Algo Liquid governance, which I cannot mention in this video, but you will be able to see the announcement soon. But I can tell you the purpose. The purpose is really to make the Algorand liquid governance, the Algo liquid governance, not just of Fox Finance, but of everyone. So everyone in the ecosystem will be able to benefit from it. And this is, we took always as example Algorand because everything in Algorand is built to be accessible, the finance accessible to everyone, the consensus to be egalitarian. So we always think in this purpose, in this way, and we are trying to bring it also in our protocol, honestly. So I believe it can be a game changer for Algorand, because if we look at the number of the last G3 with the liquid governance, like 10 million algo invested could generate even up to 3 times this TVL in algo, because you can mint G-algo, earn rewards, then to pay ring on DEX, then use the LPs to come back to Fox Finance and borrow. And we are trying to expand this for the next one, making much more more collaborations, and you will see. It's gonna be great.
No, that sounds really awesome. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for those, and I think you did answer some of my questions about, I was going to ask, is it going to become the default method, which I think you've answered quite clearly. Hopefully it does become the new method for people coming into Algorand to participate in governance.
No, I believe it's a very powerful tool because look, interest and incentives is always what attract user, and we have this way to give APR and still creates TVL and volumes, velocity in the ecosystem. So I believe that it's very powerful, and we will see it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So this next question kind of taking a step back from Algorand in particular, but this is more about stablecoins in general. Do you have any thoughts about the stablecoin ecosystem at the moment? Are you happy with them? What would you perhaps change about them if you could?
So I'm always very careful with stablecoins. I know it's dangerous. I can tell that I never had $1 in UST because I always thought that what is unsustainable cannot last forever. So in my opinion, there is a solution to make things secure. It's over-collateralization. So once you have something that is over-collateralized and the risk is managed in a secure way, we are in a pretty safe world. Because if there is more than how much is worth, for sure it's backed in a sound way. In general, I believe that it's a very powerful tool, but as everything, it has to be reliable. So if it isn't, and it should be reliable before to go live, but sometime, even when we saw this with Terra, I mean, I was expecting something like that to happen. Probably not at this level, but when you see always so high APR made in some way that is look like a Ponzi scheme, pyramidal scheme, whatever, you should be careful. But indeed, like I trust USDC and I trust over-collateralized stablecoin, algorithm stablecoin. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, I'm quite favorable for USDC because they also announced they'll be releasing a euro coin, so a euro
Yeah,
backed stable
I'm
coin.
so happy about it.
Yeah.
Like being Italian and European, I'm always asked like when we will have Volkswagen supporting euro, no, with the European market, and I'm like, when there will be. Circle is gonna launch this new
Mm.
stablecoin first on Ethereum, and then I'm sure they will come to Algorand as well.
Yeah, and I think it gives way to like foreign exchange capacities on chain as well, which is foreign exchanges or trading in foreign exchanges typically requires high leverage or high capital to begin with, but bringing that on chain will make it suddenly much more accessible for people
Yeah.
day to day, and may become the new norm for people who are perhaps traveling. If there's a way for them to spend their euro coins or USDC, it could become a new way for people to get their travel money.
Yeah, no, no, it's true. And what I think is also a practical thing, okay, crypto users, natively crypto users, they always deal with dollar. So they are okay with American dollar. But if you want to really open this world of DeFi towards everyone, uh, look, there are people that don't like to think in dollars. So if they would have this opportunity to think in euro, even in DeFi, would be better for them.
Yeah, no, definitely. um I think that actually covers most of what I wanted to. Just before we wrap up, if anyone wants to find you or Fox Finance, where can they reach out to you?
Yes, so you can reach out to me on my social media. I have Twitter, I have LinkedIn. On Twitter, my handle is Benedetto BIO. So feel free. I don't have that much followers, but I like to post and talk about Fox Finance. LinkedIn is more professional, but for everyone who wants to reach the team. There is an email which is support at folks.finance. The website is folks.finance. You can follow our social media. We are always responsive: Telegram, Discord, Twitter. Anything you need, you want to know, you want to collaborate, you want to work with us, just do.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I'll include all of that information in the description of this as well, just to make it a bit easier. But I guess from my end, thank you so much for giving me your time to sit down and have a chat. I mean, I sent a random message on Twitter, and then suddenly you were in my DM saying, "Hey, let's do it." And seeing that a CEO of a project reaching out to the community themselves to say, "Hey, I'm down to have a chat," that's it's really heartwarming, and I really do appreciate the effort.
No, thank you for hosting me here and for opening this invite for the Algorand community. I always say we are community, all of us. The team is part of the community. We are building for the community. So as far as I have time, I'm always here for supporting anyone who needs.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, I guess thank you everyone for listening. As always, information will be in the description. Feel free to reach out. But yeah, until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.